Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with an action figure I have been biting at the bit to review, but because of the move, a lot of these are still in storage, so as I pull them out, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one I want, and I've been dying to review this particular figure. We are going over the Marvel Legends Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave X Men Gambit, and to me, this is such a beautiful piece. It's nice to finally have one that, is an upgrade from the old school Toy Biz piece. Now, if you guys want to get this figure at the time of this recording, it's still available at Big Bad Toy Store and DMW All Things Marvel. But always, first and foremost, before you go online, please check with your local comic shop and see if anyone has this in stock. So they're using the more new school X-Men logo, which I'm okay with. I kind of wish they would have used the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont era X-Men logo, but it is what it is. You see Gambit, Caliban, you get that nice little spy gun list on but of dirt from the storage. That spot varnish X there on the side. Come around, and I love that artist rendition. That is such a beautiful piece. Just so nice to look at. Come around to the back, you see a better picture of the artwork there. You see a read-up, so I'll get a close-up for that for you guys. Same with the figures from the wave that you need to build Caliban. Come back around this side, same gorgeous artwork. Nothing on the bottom, we just went over the top. So with that said, let's get the Ragin Cajun out of his package and get a closer look at him. And here's Gambit out of the packaging. And I have to say, this is still one of my favorite releases from Hasbro. Yeah, there's a few things that we'll get into that kind of drive me up the wall, but overall, it's such an upgrade because I didn't really collect a lot of the Marvel selects through the years. The last of the X-Men that I really collected were the old school Toy Biz, and I cherished that Gambit for years and years. Even though, you look back on it now and you're just kind of like, wow. But to see this one, and I saw they announced it, I lost my mind. And I still, to this day, even though I bought this, 2 years ago, I still absolutely love this figure. So let's go ahead and get him off the spinner and talk about all the pluses and the few negatives that this character has to offer. So quick backstory on Remy LeBeau. He is from New Orleans, Louisiana. His first appearance was Uncanny X Men 266. He was kidnapped and raised by the Thieves Guild. His second appearances were Uncanny X Men Annual number 14 from July 1990, and then Uncanny X Men 267. I know there's a bit of fight between is his first appearance the Annual or the 266, but for me, I say it's the 266 because if you read it, you'll understand. So, and after the events of 266, 267, after rescuing Storm, he would eventually join the X-Men alongside her. Here, he meets Rogue, and he would fall for her, even though he knew he would be unable to touch her. And, they have a lot of back and forth about that, where he tries to steal a kiss, and Rogue would just not have it for the longest time, and still wouldn't for many years. And along this time, they started to flesh out his backstory as Bishop arrived from the past, and he believed Gambit to be the betrayer of the X-Men. Though as we go further down the line, Scott Liddell's Onslaught event, we find out who the actual betrayer was. And then they didn't even give Remy a chance to breathe. After that, his past comes back to bite him in the ass with his wife, Belladonna. And that's where we kind of get Gambit's solo series as well, which if you haven't read those first 4, absolutely amazing. I've done reviews on all 4, so I'll try to throw them throughout this review. And I appreciate that, like I just said, that they fleshed him out during this era. It really made me love him more. And then it was just kind of heartbreaking because down the road in Uncanny X-Men 350 from October of 1997, it's shown that he was actually the one that led the mutant massacre on the Morlocks from way back in Uncanny X Men 210 from October of 1986. And him and Rogue, to a degree, break up at this point, and it's really heartbreaking. I still feel like it was handled relatively well, but it was just sort of like, damn. So his backstory, his history has always been something I find interesting, and that's why him and Logan have always been my 2 favorite, X-Men loners. So I'd say please dive into the books and read more about Gambit if all you really know is from the animated series. They did a good job there, but his past is so rich, and I highly recommend you check it out. So with that said, let's look at the accessories that this figure comes with. So right off the bat, he comes with a bow staff holding hand, which what kind of kills me about this one is I think I need to warm it up because I feel like it's just a little too big. You put his bow staff in, and it doesn't stay very well. Like it kind of has a tendency to slide out. So I may have to warm up those knuckles and then kind of cool it around the bow. His other accessory that he comes with is kind of the card holding fingers, which, I like that his gloves show where his bare fingers stick through, which I don't understand why they thought that was a, concept for gloves, but whatever. So before we talk about the card and these fingers, I like the bow staff. It's a little bendy, but you're still, it doesn't bow too much, no pun intended. I like the grooves in it. I think it's a very nice metallic piece, because when you think Gambit, you think of him diving into action with his cards and his bow staff over his shoulder. It was even in the friggin' intro to the animated series, so you definitely got to have the bow staff. And then the kinetic card, which I know that they've released a retro version, and the card is actually filled in, looks like a playing card, but I can't bring myself to ask myself, do I really want to buy the retro version just for the accessories? Which, with this hand, the flesh tones work good on the gloves, everything. But on the retro version, these actually have like playing cards inside them, like the old select version. So I don't know if I want to go that route or not. Let me know if that figure is worth it. If there's any other changes, and we'll get into what I'm talking about with the figure here in a second. So we talked about the kinetic cards. I like the energy blasts around there to make it look like he's throwing. Gorgeous piece there. But when you take that off and use this hand, fits in there relatively nice, so that looks cool, and I like that, you kind of get the smoke. So, I can't damn the accessories too much. When this first came out, I thought this was just the bee's freaking knees. Now, with the accessories out of the way, the paint apps, the one thing that I do wish is, they gave Gambit his red eyes, which kind of always been sort of the charm of him there, is he always had those red eyes. They look good, but I'm not big on the swoopy hair. Like, Gambit has always either been slicked back or it's been long and parted down the middle. This, I don't know, I've seen people mod it, but I'm not that suave to be able to do that, so I'm not going to futz with it. And again, with the retro carded version, which I can't remember off the top of my head, if they did a different head sculpt like this, then I'm definitely on board. The coat is nice. Really compliments how Gambit always wore the black skull cap over his face like that. Looks good. His ears look great. You open it up, you see his blue collar, his metallic purple shirt that he always wore with the blue belt. Now, what's cool about this jacket is I'm not going to do it here on camera, but if you essentially take off the hands like you would like a jetpack, you can take the coat off. Yes, his arms are part of the coat, which kind of sucks, but I understand why they do that, so it's not hindering the movement. But if you have like another coat that has long sleeves, like a wired one or whatever, once you get this off, you can cover that, and it's going to look good. X-Manny87 did that with one of his, and it looked absolutely spectacular. So make sure to check that out. Love the purple on his legs. This just screams classic Gambit, because this was the outfit he wore mostly through the 90s, 2000s, and there's still variations on it to this day, but, even when they released the Toy Biz version, this was the Gambit that we all knew. Love his blue boots. I've always enjoyed the way those look, how they just almost completely metal, and I like that when you look up the coat, they didn't shirk on the paint. I mean, the legal stamp there is kind of frustrating, but whatever. But I'm glad that they didn't just stop with the coat. They made sure that even if you got the coat off, that Gambit's going to look the way he's supposed to. So definitely, 10 out of 10 on the paint apps. I'm going to actually drop it down to a 9 because I don't like the swoop on the hair. But other than that, absolutely gorgeous figure in terms of the paint apps. Overall, the articulation, I believe, is absolutely phenomenal. So let's dive into it. So his head can go down quite a ways, and even though he has the collar on his jacket, still up relatively well. Has a lot of play. I'm sure that's probably just for me futzing with the head initially. But yeah, lots of play there. And go this way, that way, arms up that way, arms up this way, that way, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, hand does go 360, goes down, goes up, crunches down really, really well. You know, he's a jumping, bendable character. Even with the jacket, you can still get him back relatively far. Pull the jacket out of the way. Legs can go out decently. Can kick out that far. And then sadly, this is with every single Marvel Legends character. What hinders Gambit here, just like what I've been talking about with every other Marvel Legends figure, is the butt flap. I mean, you can kind of, but see how it doesn't go full 90 degrees. It kind of goes out to the side. You just like, soft plastic. Look at McFarlane. But we're going to let that go. His does have double jointed knees. Foot go down. Foot go up. Foot go pivot, pivot. And then he also spins at the waist. And he does have upper thigh swivel and boot rotation. So other than the butt flap, you get one hell of a range out of Remy LeBeau, and that makes me one happy, merry mutant. I absolutely love this figure, guys. Yeah, the things that frustrate me are, like, of course, the butt flap, but that's just with almost every Marvel Legend figure. I do wish that we would have gotten a different head for Gambit instead of just the side swooped hair. That would have been kind of a nice one, or maybe like a head that has like his glowing purple eyes. And I know that they've done the retro release since this one, and you can actually see the details in the playing cards like the old Select figure. But for me, I don't know if that's enough to want to get that figure. So if you guys have picked up the Retro Wave one and if it's worth it, let me know down in the comments, or let me see some of your photography over on our social media pages. But those things aside, I also love that you can take off this coat and you can replace it if you want. Yeah, the arms are the coat or part of the coat, but you know, if you have another one that has long arms, you can cover that up. So that's okay. Still, beautiful, beautiful piece in my opinion. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, as I said, please first and foremost check with your local comic shop and see if you can pick up this figure, or you can check out the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Cajun bell next to subscribe, that way so we can continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.